Hi everyone, it's Nisha. So today I'm going to show you foundation and concealer, bronzer and all that powder application for mature skin. So this is a bit tricky at our age because you want to cover your imperfections, you want to look fresh and glowy at the same time. You don't want too much stuff under your eyes because you don't want your wrinkles to show. But if you don't put anything under there, you have discolorations. If you don't powder and it's too shiny, then it's gonna show the wrinkles more. If you powder too much, you're gonna look like a dry earth. So lately I found it a challenge. You know, when you see me here on a camera, if I'm at the distance and I could pile so much on and you would still look nice. But unfortunately in real life it looks awful. Cakey, dry, emphasizes every line. So we want to look fresh, not cakey. This is how I've been lately doing my makeup and I'm quite happy with it, and hopefully you will find it helpful. Okay, so we are up close and personal. You know, at certain age you start getting these discolorations under your eyes. It looks dark or red, like in my case. So I always use first the Colorescience Total Eye, which is 3-in-1 renewal cream. So this is an eye cream with SPF 35, but it also has pinkish peachy tone to it, which will neutralize your under eye darkness or discoloration, but it won't add bulk because it is not a concealer, it is just an eye cream with a bit of color in it. So I just put tiny bit on, and also it's amazing, there's got SPF in it. And I have my usual eye cream on there already that I put on this morning. Can you see the difference? It straight away counteracts the darkness, but it doesn't look like makeup because it's just an eye cream. Okay, let's get to the foundation. So for the foundation, you want to use something that is quite thin consistency, not a thick, matte, full cover foundation, because obviously that will really show. You want something quite runny, but with quite good amount of pigment, so not necessarily covers your skin completely, but evens your skin out. And I love the Shiseido Synchro Skin Lasting Liquid Foundation. I'm afraid, well, I think they're going to be discontinuing this one because they just brought not long ago the Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Foundation, and I've noticed that I've got really hard job finding it on US sites. In the UK you can still get this foundation, so I hope they don't discontinue it, but they probably will, it always happens. And I have Golden 3 and Golden 4 and I'm going to mix them. And you don't want much, remember we're doing less is more, which is unlike me completely. I'm going to use the Artis oval brush. I love this brush, and just start with a very light hand spreading it around. Don't go under your eyes. I never really put my foundation under my eyes because then you go with concealer and again there is too much product. So you can see how this lovely evens out my skin tone, but it's not completely covered. You can still see my imperfections. But that's where we have to compromise, because as soon as you start building this coverage, that's where you start seeing the cakiness, and that's not what we are after. And especially when you have a texture, so I have the most texture here on my chin and on my forehead as well. So go lightly on your forehead, and then if you've got any other bits to cover, you can use concealer. So this is it for my foundation. So as you can see, it wasn't much, and I don't have full coverage, but is even out my skin tone, and that's all I want really. Okay, concealer. This is where things become tricky, because obviously we want this lovely even skin underneath our eyes, but we all know if you put too much, it's gonna crack like a desert. So I've been using much less concealer. That's why I put this on before, because that already gives me a better look under my eyes. So I'm going to use the Jeffree Star concealer in C17, and this one is a bit more, it's not yellow, it's a bit more peachy, therefore you will counteract any darkness, redness and all that. So, you know, sometimes you see me doing this triangle, and yes, on a camera that looks wonderful, but believe me, in a daylight, real life, it's not too pretty. So I am only going to put that much in this corner. I'm going to pat it in with my finger first. And I'm concentrating mostly here in this corner. That's where you want the brightness and the coverage. And whatever you've got left, then you just run it that way. So just think where you've got the most lines, that's where you want least product. Now I'm going to take a beauty blender and really pat it in. So yes, this is not going to give me loads and loads of coverage, but you have to compromise. Is coverage or fresh looking skin? Now, you know my nose usually repels foundation, so I'm going to use a bit of concealer in places that I feel like I need tiny bit more coverage, and I'm going to use the Tarte Shape tape in light medium. I love this concealer, it's got amazing coverage, but unfortunately I can't use it under my eyes. If I use it under my eyes for a prolonged time, it dries out my under eyes. I have little friends here, hormonal friends, so I'm going to cover them. Your nose never looks old, so you can pile quite a lot on your nose. And if you need to build up your concealer, do it just in a corner here. That's where you want the most brightness. Just do a little and build it up rather than put too much, and then you can't really take it away. Now the ideal way would be not to powder at all under your eyes, and it's doable. You might run into a risk of your concealer really creasing, and also when you do your eye makeup, because all this will be wet and not set, you will start getting panda eyes from your mascara. Everything will be running into that concealer. So unfortunately, you have to set it. I'm going to use the Hourglass, I've got a little one, the Veil powder. I love my Jeffree Star, and that's what I usually set it with, but I almost feel like the Hourglass is a bit tiny bit finer milled and maybe a bit more not as pigmented. Now, for the powder, I'm using like a big fluffy eyeshadow brush, which is Morphe M504, because I want to be very strategic with the way I apply my powder, and I don't want to apply too much. So I'm going to really tap it off, and first go in this corner. This corner seems to have the least wrinkles. And then I'm going to go a bit down, because also you have usually quite open pores here, so when it's all shiny they sort of show up more, so you want to powder them and press that powder in. And then I'm going to put it right under my eye, but not much at all. Make sure you pat in that concealer so it hasn't creased before you set it. So I'm pressing that powder in, but there's hardly anything on my brush. So can you see? My lines are not really emphasized. Now I will take the Jeffree Star powder. You can carry on with this one, it doesn't really matter, but make sure there is one that is really finely milled. And now I'm going with the same little brush. I am going to lightly powder the middle of my forehead, basically the places where I get oily the most, and my makeup could slide off my face throughout the day. And that's it. I am not going to powder anywhere else, which is very hard for me, but it works. Now I will go into bronzer, and I'm always scared if I haven't powdered this part of my face that the bronzer is gonna stick to it, but if you go with a really light hand, it's gonna be okay. And also bronzer is a powder, so you could use mostly cream products, cream bronzer, cream blush, but that is personal preference. Yes, it looks a bit fresher, but I don't really like working so much with cream bronzers and cream blushes. I just feel I don't have as much control. So I'm going to go with the powder. I'm using the Physician Formula Butter Bronzer. This is Morphe M523 brush. It is a bit dense, so go very lightly. And I'm barely touching my skin, sort of patting and swiping. So this is not contouring. Listen, contouring and all that, you know, it's not really real life, is it? We are obsessed with it, but we all know that that type of makeup, contouring and doing all that, it's a stage makeup. So it might look good in photos, in a camera, but in real life, you can look a bit ridiculous. So with a very light hand, remember less is more. You can always build up the stuff, but once you've put too much, it's very hard to take it away. I might go over it with the Tarte Prince Avenue Princess bronzer. Now with bronzers, I would also use something like baked bronzer, something with a little sheen, because yes, we want to look fresh, not too matte. So try to use things with a bit more sheen. Let me now go off camera, I do my brows and then I come back. Okay, brows are done. I have a tutorial on how I do my brows, it's linked down below. I might be using different pencils, but a couple of the products are always the same. Okay, now I am going to set my face just here. This is like the youngest looking part of my skin. I don't have any wrinkle, I don't have any texture here. And because you touch your face, I like to set this bit. By the way, you know my Blendiful split apart, and I emailed Tarte Beauty, and with no problem they replied to me the next day and sent me a new one. So I have a new one. And you know, I've told you, if you want to see my review of the Blendiful is here. I like it for certain things, but not for everything. So I'm going to fold it, I'm going to put it in powder, and right under my bronzer I am going to do this. That will help me carve out my cheekbones, which I don't possess. And then I am going to really press it in. I'm not baking, but Blendiful is really nice to press your powders and just everything in. It seems to make your makeup stay longer, and I don't know, it's just really good for that. Okay, not doing any more powder. Now highlighter. You know, I like a bit of highlighter because that gives you this youthful glowy look. And some powder highlighters can be a bit harsh because depends how finely milled they are or not finely milled. They can really emphasize the texture on your skin. So I find using liquid highlighter is amazing. I've got the iconic London Illuminator, and mine is in, I don't know what this one is in. I don't know if they do them in different colors. I will link it down below. I bought it a while ago. It's a beautiful, beautiful liquid highlighter, but you need minute amount. And where you want to apply your highlighter, don't start here because that's where you've got the most texture. I'm just going to put one dot a bit higher up, pat it in with my finger. Honestly, you don't need much of this stuff. It's just so beautiful. Then I take beauty blender or any sponge and I pat it in. So you get this lovely highlight, but it's not powder, so you know it doesn't look too cakey. Now this is groundbreaking. Your blush. So I've always said I'm not the best at applying blush. Sorry, the sun is coming through, so you will see patches of sun. And how I usually apply my blush is up here. You know what they tell you, apply it on the apples of your cheeks? Well, don't ever do that because not everybody has high cheeks, and when you get older everything droops. And if I apply it, you know, they say smile, apply here. When I stop smiling, my blush is down here. I was watching a few of the like really big YouTubers, Melissa Alatorre, Katie, and they've just been to a masterclass with Ariel, who is a makeup artist of, I think, Kylie Jenner, and he showed this different way of applying blush, and I think this is so flattering, especially for mature skin. You will see how it really lifts your face, and I would never think of applying blush like this, but it works. I'm going to use the Nyx Sweet Cheeks Glow blush in Daydream. I love this blush. Look, I'm heating a pan. Take some on your brush. This is the Real Techniques blush brush. You want very fluffy brush. You don't want anything dense because you might deposit too much powder. Tap it gently in there. I'm tapping it off on my hand. And the way you apply the blush is on the apple of your cheek, but much higher than you would think. You go almost under your eyes, and you do it like around here. So I will do it very slowly because, you know, if you put too much, you might start looking like a clown. So you only do it in this place. You don't go up, you don't go down, you go more high than low. I will do just one first so you can see. And it gives you that really useful flushed look. Can you see how high up I am going? Almost to that tear trough. And quite close to your nose. No up there, not up there, just here. And you see it's got a bit of sheen in it. I just think it looks so pretty. So that's how I've been applying my blush now. And I feel every time I look in the mirror, I feel like my cheeks are really high up. If you feel that you've put a bit too much or you're looking a bit clownish, to be honest, you know, blushes fade a bit throughout the day, but take your powder brush that doesn't have any powder on it and just go over it. But I think that looks so pretty, really useful. And now I'm going to finish it off with spraying my face with the Morphe setting spray. Use any spray that is your favorite. I love this one. This just, if you're looking a bit too powdery, will bring your skin to life and you will melt all the powders together. It's just a really good thing to do. I'm hitting myself with this. I don't have anything to fan myself with. You know, I had that little handheld fan, but I can't find it. And that is my skin done. So I will zoom you even closer so you can have a look. I think, you know, in a camera, anything looks good. People that put like 5 layers of powder, it looks lovely. But in real life, I doubt any of them look really good and not cracking. So here you are. Okay, so I am really happy with that. I don't think I look too cakey, too much mask-like. And now throughout the day, with me, for example, my oils come up a bit, especially in the middle of my face. And that makes me look even fresher because all the powder disappears. But you might start looking too shiny and you don't want to add more powder. I find, you know, the Tarte Blendiful, the little baby one, if I throughout the day start getting shiny, I don't put anything on this puff. I will just pat it in and the shine disappears. That's what you can do. Okay, my lovely, so I hope you found this helpful. I feel like I do look fresh and not too cakey. I did my eyes, but I filmed it, so I will post it in another video. Maybe on Wednesday you will see that, because otherwise this video would be far too long. I know you're going to ask me about my rings. The middle ring is, I don't know, I bought it in some boutique ages ago, but these two you might remember, these are by Caroline Brooke Jewelry. I will leave you a link to the website. Okay, my lovely, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching and stay fabulous. Bye.